What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the TECHNESS Corner. I'm your host, Seb Luca, and we've got in store for you what you probably already know about, which is in the title description and thumbnail inclusive, and that is the box, or what is at least in the box. To my right, the NZXT Kraken Z73, so it's a Z series AIO 360 milliliter liquid cooler that we've got an unboxing and maybe a showcase of how it's operating at the end once it's in our LGA 1200 socketed 10900K system over onto my left. Now, to cut a long story short, I have a really interesting cooler currently in there that has malfunctioned after a reinstall of Windows 10, and that's the ML360 Sub-Zero liquid cooler tech produced by Cooler Master and in correlation with Intel itself. But unfortunately, the drivers and or recognizing the item per se is the software that you have to install for it is not capable of doing so, and it's just not running as it should. In standby mode, it can't even access that per se to run effectively like it should as a 360 milliliter radiator then, or AIO, just like the NZXT Kraken Z73 that we're unboxing today. So it has to be replaced. I've got no alternative. I'm going to replace it and then RMA that tech cooler, hopefully get another one, and maybe in a few years time we'll come back to it and utilize that tech cooler if we end up getting replaced without a refund. And we'll maybe take, when it's at the end of its lifespan, we'll take the 10900K upwards of 5.6, 7, 8 gigahertz, and we'll try to get something special out of it as well in this near to distant future. But in the meantime, I do need it to run gaming wise. Essentially, I've got my streaming PC behind me, as well as rendering videos. Essentially, it's my major video renderer, and it's incapable of doing so because it's obviously overheating in that regards. So what I've had to do is I've had good experiences with NZXT AIO coolers in the past. I actually had the X73 and the X73 360 milliliter liquid cooler. I had no troubles with under the workloads it was asked to do back in the day. That's been passed on and sold off at a reasonable price to someone who needed a cooler like that. So in turn, I've come back to now, which is the X73s have been updated and there's a new version of those available. But we've got the Z73, which we're going to be unboxing today. So without keeping you here any longer than what you need to be, unless you want to be and hear my crapiola at the same time, let's get stuck right on in. Alrighty, so let's grab the box and take a closer look. So NZXT logo down the side, very obvious with its generalistic packaging color scheme, which NZXT is known for. Got a nice little installed AIO there in an NZXT system. Yeah, there it is, the Kraken Z73 NZXT boxed up AIO cooler. Essentially, on a side note, just inspecting the box, it's got some information on both sides, the right and left sides, including specifications and whatnot. So to get into it, specification wise, the NZXT Z73 requires Windows 10 essentially, and at the bare minimum, and it also requires a USB 2.0 header. We'll get more to that with the unboxing. I can show you what it needs to connect up to essentially. The Kraken Z73 is one of the pedigree AIO coolers available on the market still to this day and age. They've been out for approximately 2.5 years or so now, and they've been subsequently updated, I believe, once as well. So the Kraken Z73 possesses an Acertec pump, which is version 7 now, as opposed to the previous version of version 6. It has a 10% performance gain from my understanding, and ability to move water more effectively, or the liquid in the AIO per se more effectively. Speaking of that, these have been known to be super duper regarding their capabilities as AIOs, and as a 360mm radiator, it's one of the pedigree better cooling capability machines on par with other AIOs of a higher caliber in its own distinction. It's one of the better ones as well. So let's get stuck straight on into the unboxing, and we'll run through any specific items which are on it and with a little bit more info as we unbox what's in the box. In the box today, the Kraken Z73 AIO 360mm rad from NZXT. So let's go. So on closer inspection, here it is again, the Kraken Z73. It's got a 2.65 inch display as well, LCD display. Okay, it comes with 3 Air P radiator specific high CFM flow fans, and even though CFM is not what you're looking for, it's got a 74 rating I believe of CFM, which is really high airflow, but it means in the positioning which I'll have it in, which is a pull configuration, because that's I think the only option I've got available on that case to fit it in correctly topside mounted, the CFM will push the air through but also pull it from behind as vigorously as it can, and they are high static pressure airflow fans as well, which works great for pushing through the radiator. But because I'm going to be pulling out of the radiator and through it, the CFM aspects of it also take part and take play in regards to it being effective in that way. So yeah, the cool thing about the LCD screen is you can put your own custom GIFs and or pictures on it, as well as utilizing the CAM software, because you have to utilize the NZXT CAM software to operate this effectively and completely with all its functionality. Means that you get to also put monitoring software up on it, which I will probably for many of the time have both my GPU temp and my CPU temp active on it, and at a moment's glance you can always have a look off to your right if that's where you have your computer set up, and see what it is without the need for anything else. And that's a great indicator of, generally speaking, anything going wrong, that if it's too high, for example, you can then open up your diagnostical software or your proper monitoring suite software and isolate the problem and find out what's going on with the system before anything goes astray and too far and causes permanent damage to your system. Now, generally speaking, I used to use the NZXT Mini CAM software, which I'd have on my left monitor, but again, that's not always practical, and to have that always displayed on the right side of myself is going to be really convenient. And if I do have the NZXT Mini CAM software up, so not the full suite open, but just the overlay, which is really cool as well and handy, then yeah, I will have probably a custom GIF to my right of something really cool that's themed in with the color theme of the system on the whole. So I've got like a Dragon Ball Z sort of a GIF of myself when I was younger, sort of flaming blue god flames sort of thing, and I think that would suit like a really neon blue theme in the case per se on the whole, and look really schmitten, and I'd really get a lot of enjoyment out of it personally. On the other hand, this is the cheaper Z73 variant of what is available, and by all means does that not mean it's cheaper in any way, shape or form, except it's missing the RGB Air P or AERP fans and the RGB ring, which is associated with them as well. So it's got an option to be able to connect up NZXT RGB fans later on to this device, and or any NZXT Q related RGB accessories as well, which is really good because they actually produced really high caliber RGB stuff as well on a comparison level to other vendors out there as well. But without crapping on too much further, let's have a look at how it looks in the box per se, or out of the box, while we open it up. Alrighty, so how do we get into this? It's covered with plastic sort of sheeting and covering as well. I'm just going to strip it down here to that point, and then from here to this point, and that way the cover may still take precedence over it. I won't have to pull it off completely, and it can protect the box in the meantime for a few years to come if inclined to resell it afterwards. Now, I wouldn't, generally speaking, recommend buying AIO coolers secondhand, but sometimes if you trust a person and they're honest and they've had it in a really good position, which has caused less likely and chance for evaporation, for say, of the cooler to occur and for the pump to get damaged as a result. Then what that means is you can then probably be safe to say, if the price is right, pick yourself up a secondhand cooler. Now, long-term wise, this cooler has a 6-year warranty associated and attached to it, which is really good by NZXT because they're backing up their product with something decent that should last the lifespan of any general system in this day and age, if you're inclined to upgrade at some stage. And it'll still allow for plenty of time if you want to perhaps try to work out a way of transferring after having a system for, say, half that time span. You can still rest assured that the customer, as a selling point, has got a system that's still going to at least work for 3 years before it, magically break just outside of warranty per se. Alright, so the box is being a little finicky to open up. Alrighty, so that should allow us to get stuck straight on in. Here we go, people. Build the extraordinary we're greeted with, so let us go. I'll show it in the perspective of you guys. Straight away we are greeted with the NZXT Kraken Z series user manual, which looks like a massive pamphlet per se. That's going to open up, and compatibility wise, it's compatible upwards of AM4 socketed cooler requirements and Threadripper up to 280 watts, as well as all your Intel variety of coolers up to 11th gen, I believe. I don't know, I'm not 100% sure about 12th gen currently, but LGA Socket 1200 is what we're using it for today, our 10900K. Let's get this out and on the good old bench. So bringing this forward just a little bit in time, we've got our neatly assembled package contents inside what seems to be an egg carton box, or at least the material wise reinforced. So let us proceed by taking out what's in the box. Everything seems neatly packaged. Hopefully it's labeled as well and won't be too confusing. So first we've got ourselves our socket requirements, which includes all the bolts to bolt it on and the back plating. You can use your AM4, for example, back plates and bolt it straight onto that. Otherwise, it's got the Intel back plate over here as well, and all screws that accompany it, including what seems to be the radiator screws as well. So that's cool. Fortunately, they don't look like they're labeled, so I'm guessing in the manual they've got size specifications regarding it and where they have to be utilized. Over here we've got our what is USB 2.0 header requirement, and also power to the SATA connection for your fans, RGB, as well as display requirements with a micro USB cable that plugs directly into the pump or the display sector. So that's over here as well. And first fan we're pulling out, we have a closer look. One of three. It's our AERP or Air Predator, I believe they are. Braided lines as well. Hopefully long enough where needed to be. NZXT high airflow essentially fans, but also with a high static pressure from my understanding. Now the cool thing about these fans is they've updated the back logo sticker of them. They are your also reference a model number known as your RFAP120 FP fluid dynamic bearing, and they are closed with an updated sticker on the back fans. The sticker used to be on the back side of it, used to be of the NZXT general coloring theme. Now it's blacked out as well to suit the front side of it, which is blacked out, which is really convenient because I'm going to have them on this orientation pulling through the radiator, and because of that the black's not going to be too imposing as a sticker and is actually quite easy on the eye. So that's really cool that they've done that. That's something I wasn't not expecting and expecting to have to deal with just on a small level. So we'll take out the other two fans per se, and it's the same thing associated with these two. Pop them over here. And what that leaves us with is essentially the AIO itself, or the radiator and pump, just here. So the radiator itself comes sleeved again. Okay, the fittings, from my understanding, have a semblance of give on them, 90 degrees. If we have a look at the radiator itself, the 360mm radiator in this case, undamaged, got an NZXT logo just here, which is imprinted into the metal itself. Not too heavy, surprisingly. Feels like it's missing a semblance of liquid that it should have in it, frankly. Hopefully it's been filled up, because that's going to suck ass if it hasn't. Going down to the side, so if we flick it over, straight away we can see that there is what seems to be a slight imperfection in the radiator grill itself. Not 100% perfect. You can see the discoloring there if the light's picking it up. So that's something that is well documented as well by myself. I'm going to put the protective sleeving on it, back on it again, as we have a closer look at the pump side of things. So again, sleeved in some plastic, nothing too crazy. We can take that off quite rather easily. Now, these fittings here can rotate 90 degrees, allowing for easier installation of the pump itself. And the cords are low evaporation rubber tubing, which is also braided with a braided line for reinforcement and also a bit of style and pizzazz. These are, I believe, 400mm in length. Connects up to our LCD 2.35-inch display. It's got a protective cover on it. I won't take it off just yet to minimize fingerprints and whatnot. And depending on orientation through the cam software, you can rotate this, so you don't have to worry that it's upside down when you turn it on. Cam software will fix that for you all. If we have a look at the piece of the resistance, which I have to admit is decent that they're utilizing, because they don't necessarily have to. It's a massive cold plate, which can probably fit everything comfortably, borderline be the thread ripper. The pre-applied thermal paste you can see is on that. And if you've got a larger chip, I'd probably replace that with something else. And I might still do so, because I don't know what thermal paste they utilize themselves. But I've got some Arctic Silver, which I really like using. So I'm going to use that. If you don't have it on hand, you don't need to worry. Unless you've got a really aggressive chip in some way, shape or form, or want to do a Steve Burke application of thermal paste, which we all do at times, me inclusive. And yeah guys, that's just been a general unboxing video of the cooler per se, of what's in the box with regards to our Z73 360mm radiator from NZXT. Next step is I'm going to essentially install it in the computer to my right now, and I'm not going to show the installation process. NZXT provides a short 3 to 5 minute video on correct installation procedure, also pump orientation and radiator orientation. On a side note, you should always probably look into Steve Burke's and or Jay's 2 cents videos on correct AIO orientation. There's enough said on that topic. It's your choice whether you want to put it vertically or horizontally, and how you want to place that pump correctly. I'm going to do it in the correct positioning that I think is best, and case scenario as well. And yeah guys, I might beam you now to the finished product, which will be myself on the handheld cam, showing you all it hopefully operational. So wish us luck, peace out y'all, and enjoy the crappy B-roll footage with me intermittently talking through it as well, probably. Bye.